Hello and welcome to another episode of The Golden Seams. Today we're going to be continuing The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse by Charlie Mackesy.
We're picking up where they meet the horse. The mole and the horse, they discover each other. The mole goes up to the horse and says hello. They all decide that they get along and they play together and they hang out. They're all friends. So now they're all together. They've met everybody, all the different characters in the story. The boy asks, "Doing nothing with friends is never doing nothing, is it?" The mole says no. I'm going to hand this off to Gabe because it's something he had to teach me about doing nothing.
Well, I don't know about teaching. I've shared some pieces of art and ideas that I really resonated with. Basically, that nothing is something worth doing. It's a powerful way to check in with ourselves to see where we are. And without seeing where we are, we can't tell where we want to go. I think as much value as society culture has put on productivity and accomplishments and stuff, it's so easy to get blindsided for the quality of the productivity, the quality of the accomplishments, which I think are directly related to how we feel. And it's hard to know exactly how we feel without taking a moment to turn off the outside and to be still. And I have a hard time personally creating or accessing happiness when I can't be still. And it came in this paradox in my own life because at certain times life was demanding an excess of attention and energy and focus. And it seemed like the more gas I threw in the engine, the further away from the destination I was going. And I guess the metaphor was almost like the destination was at the bottom of a hill I could roll down backwards instead of trying to go do the whole loop around the other way.
Nice.
And it's counterintuitive at times, especially in our fast-paced, intense digital world that we're all living in and trying to navigate. I like talking and exploring. It doesn't mean I'm always good at accessing it, but it's something that became imprinted in my mind too. And I feel this is a way of showing kindness too. Like sometimes that is what my body wants and needs is a little bit of nothing on a mountain to just be, creating space and allowing for that.
Doing nothing too is equating to playing. And we've become such a hyper productive society,
Yes.
initially in the US, but throughout the world too. We have taken doing nothing to a place of, well, if you're not being productive, then what are you? What's your value? What's your worth? And we've associated it, we've created a link there when really so much good comes from, again, doing nothing. It's not about getting the coffee. It's like the coffee's the permission to
Yeah,
sit down, catch your breath, and go, okay. And
totally.
whether it's Gabe, what you're talking about, going to the mountain, because Gabe loves to hike, he's fantastic at it, or whatever your version of doing nothing is, it doesn't matter what that is. It's so good for you to do it.
Yeah, and sometimes it's almost the something that you think is nothing. Sitting down to write the goofy rhyme that stumbled in your mind when you were walking. It could be to like look through the picture book, your yearbook, to find that person that you thought of. It can be things that you put into the nothing folder, but really are packed with so much insight and meaning. I think it's one of the ways for me that I neglect the wisdom of the heart compass when it's trying to orient me and give insights. So I'll be dismissive and I will judge it. I will shame myself and I will put off those things. And I'm always grateful and happy when I get the courage to honor it and carve some time out for that. Because I think we all do deserve it.
I definitely agree. I think it's the place you refill your tank.
Yeah.
Another place I've heard so many people, and this happens for me too. I'm in the shower and I get all these, I call them hits or downloads. And it's because I'm really basically doing nothing. It's so rote, it's so
Mm.
routine. Everybody takes a shower or whatever you're doing. You can get so many great ideas or answers or solutions, whatever it is, when you do whatever that quote nothing is.
I imagine flowers. Like if they lived a productive, busy life inside of buildings and they were going around, they would never be still enough to get pollinated. You know, like
That's
they
so
would
good. Oh my
move it
gosh.
around and like interrupting the whole. And while we're totally pa creatures of pattern and builders and creators, one of the traps I fall into often, especially with creative work, is thinking I'm doing anything.
Have you ever noticed when you take a trip and you travel and you're, quote, doing nothing, right? And I'm not talking about a trip where you've scheduled something from morning until night. I'm not talking about a business trip. I'm talking about where if you've ever let yourself take a trip, and this is how I travel, and I rent a space and I'm there and I go to the local market and I engage and I wind down, I relax. But what is crazy is when you come back home, everything looks different.
Yes.
That's
I,
what doing nothing is. It's recharging your batteries. And if you have to schedule it in, schedule it in. Let that flow because if I do that, I can step into where the horse takes them next. They all get on the horse's back and they gallop. They're so free. Freedom is what allows us to be in the flow, to be in the zone. And it's the
yeah.
most incredible feeling. It originates from that playful, relaxed space of doing nothing, where that fantastic idea comes from, where the perspective shifts, where you catch your breath and you're like, that's okay.
Yeah.
It's that.
You nailed it with the playful playing. I think that it goes back to that this idea of wonder and innocence and the qualities of the heart that are inexplicably wise in the face of the cultures that we see now on the planet, which have, purpose and reason for how they are the way that they are. But I do think that some of the curated appearances and ideas that are around us do create a little bit of an illusion that, what is it? It goes back to the tortoise and the hare, that the tortoise is going to lose. And I'm not sure if that's always the truth. We can have an excess of energy, spend an excess of energy, but the eyes of wonder, I think, can reveal the most amazing shortcuts along the way, or the scenic route, even to make the way more enjoyable and more playful and less of a race.
How many inspirations through scientists, inventors, artists, musicians have come because they took that break and took a walk outside?
Yeah. Absolute random accidents in the kitchen, just like by being and doing things that happen, we
Yeah.
discover. And that's where I'm so intrigued. It's the most amazing intelligence comes when I get out of the way.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
Like if I can really quiet and I'm thinking back to all the pain body attachments, the judgment, the shame. Sometimes all that I am feels like a bundle of appetites and concerns, and allowing space for that to fall away, to
Deadlines.
uncover deadlines. Yeah. Yeah.
It's almost like stepping out of that.
Yeah. Creating a sense of value in the experience and not, for me at the beginning, it started out as a reward mechanism, like a Pavlovian conditioning. Oh, I did enough deadline stuff, so now I get a hike reward. And I used to kind
Oh,
of put it like this exchange instead of, no, this is a necessity in order for me to complete the deadlines. I can't focus. I can't be
oh my
present.
gosh, that's so true. The extreme of this is guess what happens when you don't?
Mm.
You get sick.
Yeah. Yep.
Isn't it true? We get
Yes.
sick, you'll get a bug. Your body will literally step into that space of, okay, you're not going to slow down, I'll slow you down.
You got the wrench in the gear. Yeah.
I love that when really I could have been on a holiday or enjoying myself somewhere or whatever if I had just taken a break.
It's like hot tea bubble bath or
The flu.
stomach flu.
Yay,
Yeah.
right? Okay, stomach flu it is. Just kidding. No, we're not putting that out there. I'm just screwing around. But seriously, that's what we're talking about and allowing that playfulness in. One of the most interesting things in my life was pointed out to me, and I thought it was profound. I had gone through many things for so long, built up and built up and built up. Someone who knew me from the time I was a child actually said this to me, and they said, "You used to laugh so much when you were a kid." That's all. I used to actually get in trouble for laughing because I used to laugh so much. I ended up being so immersed the other way. I couldn't even tell you or recognize how to be joyful, happy, or to have fun. I couldn't even schedule that if I wanted to, doing all of that. And my life was really forced. I was truly forced to slow down in the most powerful way with my health to really shift. I want to say this from my own experience, and I'm not speaking for anybody else. I do believe this for myself. When you are so far off your path, believe me, the universe, life, everything that's here loves you so much, but they are going to help you in every way they can. And even though that may look painful through a health issue or something else, to help bring you back to your path so you can heal. I know that's distorted sounding. That's been my experience, and that's the understanding that I gained through all of it, which again, we'll share more of. But I find that to be, it's worth it to be playful,
I,
to find the thing to laugh at.
I very much agree with that. And as you're explaining this, I keep having this image of laughter is an expression that we're capable of that bypasses the mind straight from the heart. And so are tears when we open up to allow them. They're potent, direct channels of expression from the heart, which is a form of the flow state or alignment. And it's interesting how both of these really powerful tools that are innate, natural part of our experience have been so pulled out and separated from our daily existence. We got to be serious at work. We got to be serious in front of others in the stores. And it just feels like a lot of repression. I don't know if
Yeah.
it's,
And that's actually what can lead to depression
yeah, absolutely.
because you're holding your light down so hard.
Completely.
It doesn't work. They continue on, they're galloping, they're having a great time, and then they fall. The boy falls off. This is so true again for life because we all fall. Everyone in life experiences this. It doesn't matter who you are. This is part of the trip here.
Mm. Yeah.
I look at great athletes, Martha Stewart. You can watch any of these things on Netflix. You can read books about these people. Everyone goes through this. Every single person experiences. It goes back to what are setbacks? What are they really? People often say they're opportunities, but you don't see them as an opportunity when you're falling.
No, you see the floor coming up very quickly as you as you approach it.
Everybody has them. When you get through it, your trajectory has changed. You are so much stronger. You have so much more under your belt. You know so much more. You understand so much more. You actually are freer
Yeah.
when you get to the other side. It just sucks in the fall, in my opinion.
It's it's funny too because the whole fall sucks. It feels bad from the beginning when you lose your balance when you're in the air. But if you look back on it, the main part that sucks is hitting the ground.
Oh my
Because
God. Okay.
sometimes we jump on trampolines for fun.
It's so true. But you're right. It's the hitting the ground. It's that, oh,
It's hitting the bumpers of the, and it reminds me of what you were saying, excitement and fear are the same chemical thing. It's our perception of it. Some of us jump out of, I don't. but jump out of planes for fun. Bungee jump, they literally go for that. It's interesting and it's amazing.
It's an adrenaline rush for some people.
Yeah, I wish I could reorganize my thoughts and perception to experience it when I'm having it in life like that.
When you are falling in a situation, you don't even know how you got into that situation.
Yeah.
To me, that sucks.
Oh, it's terrifying from the beginning. Yeah.
And I have the hardest head. I'm very stubborn in my thinking. It takes me longer to figure out what the opportunity is. And don't think I don't go kicking and screaming on the way to the opportunity as I'm trying to still buffer the fall and then recover from the impact. I love the acknowledgement of that in this story because everyone goes through it. Then the horse goes on to say, everyone is a bit scared, but we're less scared together. I love that because it goes back to connection. It goes back to everybody falls. Everybody falls. The grass is not greener. Unplug from the competition, unplug from the jealousy, the envy, unplug from all of this stuff. Acknowledge that these are indicators on your compass of a deeper desire for yourself, and that that is simply a signal, a sign to let you know that you want something more than what you got and what you have, what you're doing, being, experiencing. Step back into that playfulness, but know we are all in this together.
Yes. It's so much more fun that way too.
It is
Yeah.
so much more fun. Oh my gosh,
Yeah, take turns catching each other.
it is. He goes on to say, tears fall for a reason,
I love
and
that.
they are your strength, not weakness.
I love that so much. That might be my favorite. The whole book, it's hard to choose a favorite, but every time I hear this book, this part stands out to me like a gem.
Talking about tears and how healing they are, there is a doctor. His name is Dr. Carlo Spagnoli. He's an Italian physician and he's known for his humanitarian work in Africa. There is this saying, and I know that it's on a wall in this hospital, the Carlo Poma Hospital in Mantua, Italy. He says, but it's also in other hospitals in Europe. The phrase is where tears fall, healing begins.
Mm.
Dr. Spagnoli, he understood that the healing process for each of us, it's so important for us to be able to express our emotions and vulnerabilities, and that that has to happen in order to have a full recovery. The phrase that he put out there, where tears fall, healing begins, it simply emphasizes the importance of this. This is really a huge part of healing, of bringing yourself back to yourself, of recovering, being happy and being whole and being healed. It's okay. It's so important to express your pain and to let those tears come, obviously, in a safe environment. The reason they put that saying and that phrase up in these hospitals was to remind the medical professionals, but also the patients, about empathy, compassion, and recognition of emotional well-being being a huge part of recovery, and not just mental recovery, but physical recovery, completely for healing.
That's so beautiful.
There's also other studies regarding tears, the chemicals, all these other pieces. One of the things that I really feel, when you let yourself really cry wholly and fully, you let yourself do it and you're safe to do it in a safe space, wherever that may be for you, I really believe you call back a piece of your soul.
I agree. It's almost as if feelings will be felt, whether now or later, and they will exist within you until you find the space or create the space or it finds a way out to be felt. I I'm humbled by how much our heart calls out for our attention. Or my heart, it's constantly wanting to be a part of the experience, and it's so easy to get caught up in the mind and logic and reason and because this and what if that. And sometimes on the other side of the tears is some laughter too, with the levity that comes from clearing out the space.
The release.
The release, yeah, it's almost like,
God,
why have I been and again, and then it goes back to this, and then sometimes there's a little more tears to cry because you're like, wow, I held on to this for so long. There's like interest on the the repression. Now there's like this little layer of forgiveness that has to come, and then the levity. I would love to make my baseline, however I can learn.
it's important to allow tears, but again, to let yourself have that space, that time for
Yeah,
that
yeah,
flow, but always to do it in a safe space so that
yeah,
you can actually reap the benefit.
totally. Not everybody is capable because of where they're at or what they're going through to hold space. And our heart deserves that space.
Definitely. Sometimes when people react negatively to another person crying, it's because it makes them uncomfortable. So it goes back to that's about them.
Yeah.
If the other person feels vulnerable enough to have tears, to let that, especially if they need to cry or they can't control it, it's so good to do it in a safe space.
Yeah.
Just leaving you with that today, our thoughts there, the bits that we're sharing. And we hope you have a great day. We look forward to catching up with you again tomorrow.
Thanks for joining us.